What's up, guys? Just wanted to come to you a little bit differently today because right now I am down in South Beach showing properties to one of my clients who flew in from the West Coast. So fingers crossed, by the end of this video, hopefully, prayerfully, we will have a contract on a property south of 5th. But I didn't want to miss an opportunity to talk to you guys just about some training that I went through today, some things that I believe will help all of us, and where we are right now on the 11th of the month with our agent of the month. So I did update the spreadsheet, so you'll go in, you'll see that those of you who took the classes yesterday and the day before for either our title affiliate or down at the association, the agent of the month spreadsheet has been updated. Congratulations on that and continuing your education. I must admit that we are missing a huge opportunity for points because no one turned in their daily activity records, a free way to get points for doing the activities that hopefully you're already doing to generate the business that you want to have. And this is not for me, this is not for the brokerage, this is for you as an agent to really have a solid foundation and grow your business and garner the results that we have been talking about so far this month. Now, that's why it's so important what I'm going to share with you guys right now in this video. Today, I sat in an 8-hour class, a CRS designation class taught by the amazing, slightly funny, he thinks that he is hilarious, Gonzalo Mejia. And it was 7 things successful agents do differently, a proven business system. Now, it is not my intention to teach the class, but I do want to go over some of the ideas that were presented to us today. I want to share that with you all so that we can go into, so we can dive a little deeper and help each of us grow our businesses and do the things that successful agents do. So there are 7 things that we covered in the class. We're going to go over 1 today, but I am going to let you know what the 7 are, and then I believe in the subsequent videos we're going to break down the other 7, have a brief conversation or share briefly about those as well. But let me give those to you. So number 1, they treat real estate like a business. Number 2, they start with the future in mind. Number 3, they understand marketing principles. Number 4, they recognize the different stages of business growth. Number 5, interesting. I'm just realizing that there's no number 5 there. Okay, so let me go here. There is a number 5, but it's not in our table of contents. They plan for retirement. I was like, what in the world is this? But it's not on here. Number 5, they plan for retirement. Number 6, they work from a budget, which is tough for those who aren't doing it. But for those who are doing it, they love it. And number 7, they follow a specific marketing plan. For a moment there at number 5, I thought I was losing my mind, and you guys probably like, yep, we knew it. This dude is off the rocker. He's gone cuckoo. So the first thing is that successful real estate agents, they treat real estate like a business, not like a job, a hobby, and sometimes not even a career, but like a business. One of the things that we mentioned in the overview, it says that it is common for real estate agents to enter the profession from another job. Often they bring the employee mindset with them to the business of real estate. And that is something that we talked about in depth, I would say, for the first hour, maybe hour and a half of the course. Because whether we know it or not, or whether we accept it or not, we are no longer employees. As independent contractors, as entrepreneurs, the ways that we think must shift from an employee to an owner, and also include the thought process and the actions of a dreaded manager. Now, these are the things that we don't like to do, but these are the things that are necessary in order for us to run our real estate business successfully and to garner a profit at the end. So I want to read an excerpt from the book that we have here. It said, having the correct mindset and understanding the importance of thinking like an entrepreneur is key to growing a business versus having a job. So what we talked about, and something that Gonzalo stressed in the class, is that the difference between an entrepreneur or a business owner and an employee is that an employee works from 9 to 5. Think back when you were an employee on your very first job. Be it good or bad, you worked from, let's say, just normal hours, 9 to 5. Regardless of how much work you got done or didn't get done, let's say if you work 40 hours a week, what would happen at the end of your week? You would be almost, I say almost because unless you got fired at the end of your week, you almost were guaranteed a paycheck. Then for some of you, now it might be every 2 weeks, but you were guaranteed a paycheck. You were paid for the work that you completed. Now, what do we know in the real estate industry? We could work for a week. We could work for 2 weeks. We could work for 2 months and never receive a paycheck. Now, that's the transition from an employee to an entrepreneur. And something that I believe is highlighted here was that the entrepreneur mindset encompasses 3 actual mindsets. So the first is going to be the entrepreneur, then you have the manager and the worker. Now the entrepreneur is the visionary. They're the one that cast the ideas, whether they are marketing ideas, coming up with how to create systems for your business, or what systems or the end process you want to accomplish. That is the entrepreneur's role. The manager, in you, in me, our job is to say how we are going to get more buyers, how we're going to get more sellers, how we're going to, streamline our process. And then the employee or the worker is to actually implement and execute those ideas, processes, and systems. Now, what is key for us is that we must identify, if you followed me for any length of time, or if you've heard me talk about it, I'm always stressing DPAs, dollar productive activities, or IPAs, not beer, income producing activities. IPAs or DPAs, now the IPA or the DPA will differ depending on which hat you're wearing, whether you're the entrepreneur, the manager, or the worker. But it's clear that you understand which role you're going to be in at certain times of the day, the week, the transaction, the month, the year, the business itself, or the type of task that it is. For instance, in real estate, some of the tasks, identifying new market ideas, that's an entrepreneur task. Implementation of the marketing plan, that's a working task, a worker task. And determining the frequency of items of a marketing plan, that would be a manager task. Another idea or another task that we have would be prospecting. Now, prospecting is usually a worker task. And if I were to ask you guys, especially my world-renowned agents, what are the dollar productive activities? I can almost guarantee that everything you're going to give back to me is going to be a worker task. And that's because we have a tendency to think as workers. We tend to think on our day-to-day basis and activities, and we neglect thinking long-term. We forget to look into what's going to be happening in my business a month from now, 2 months from now, maybe even a quarter from now. If you guys are curious what I'm looking for, I'll be right back. Hold that thought. Told you I'd be right back, and I'm not using any time lapse or anything such as that, but I took some fantastic notes from the class today. And one of the things that came out of the class while I'm talking about the real estate task and thinking beyond a worker's point of view and looking at it as an entrepreneur is because that's exactly what we are. So a few notes that I want to go back to is that success is not a checklist. If it was, everyone would be successful. So success is not, all right, well, these are the 7 things that successful agents do differently. Check box 1, check box 2 through 7, done it, now I'm successful. That's something that Gonzalo stressed. That is not going to happen. And of course, specialization equals greater compensation. We all know that. I believe at a core we know that to some extent, but everyone doesn't practice it because we're afraid to miss out on transactions or deals. But you don't have to serve everyone, just enough people to make your business successful. And then if we go down here, this is not a job, it's a business. We can work less and make more money. That's something that on a job, if you look at most jobs and just the way that the job structure is set up for employees, it is almost impossible for an employee to work less and make more. But as an entrepreneur, it is often the case that the more skilled we become, the less we can work, the fewer activities we can do, the less time we can invest, and the greater returns we can yield. It is not a job, it is a business. So a few of the takeaways that I have here is that you must have the entrepreneur mindset. You must embrace the grind. How many times in the past week have you heard, oh, I'm grinding, I'm hustling, I'm grinding, I'm hustling, but it's not to be communicated, it's to be executed and shown in all that we do. So my job is to sell the house. Our job in real estate is to sell the house and to sell ourselves, regardless of if it takes 2 days or 2 months. That's something that I highlighted when Gonzalo was speaking. And what I put in all caps is own your business. That does not mean be the physical owner of your business. That means to take ownership of every step in the transaction, because ultimately you are the one that is responsible for the success or failure of your business. And if we aren't thinking about that with every phone call we make, every email we send, every showing request that we either accept, reject, deny, that we submit, then we are doing ourselves a disservice. So here, every day I have to think about my business and how to make it grow. Every day I have to think about my business and how to make it grow. Take 30 minutes daily to think about how the business can grow and get better. What can I do differently? 30 minutes daily. That will help us, that will help myself, you, get out of the worker mentality and transition to the entrepreneur, and we'll be able to differentiate ourselves from the 185,000 realtors here in Florida. And differentiation, specialization is key for success. So choices are also in here, he mentioned that choices are our enemy and that decisions are an ally. So anytime that we have to make choices, the paralysis of choice, that is our enemy. Our ally is having pre-made decisions. An example that Gonzalo used was he knows that he's going to work out every morning. That's not a choice that he makes every morning because he made that decision years ago. Now it's just about waking up and executing, because if left to his choices, then he might wake up today and feel like not going, and then tomorrow sleeping in may have felt so good that he sleeps in again, and then we have a downward spiral. Now what you guys can't see, I have my wife in my eyesight right over here, and she's nodding her head as I'm talking about making the choice or having a choice when it comes to working out or not. So the next time you guys see Boss Lady, Miss Joanna Oates from Sure to Close, make sure you guys ask her how her exercise and cardio are doing. She's been doing fantastic lately. She's been hitting the treadmill. We've been walking, eating healthy, all that good stuff. But we are eliminating the choice, eliminating the option of choices. And then most importantly, know what you're supposed to do and commit to it. In our business, we must know what we're supposed to do and commit to doing it. That is something that was mentioned, one of the 7 things that successful agents do differently. Now, in thinking about the real estate as a business, a key note: I tell people how I run my business. People don't tell me how to run my business. Now, we've heard that the customer is always right. That means that they have an option of where they spend their money, but you don't have to mold or shape your business to meet their demands. Many of you know that I oftentimes don't work on Saturday or Sunday, and in real estate you say, how is that possible? But I tell people how I run my business, not vice versa. And then I am the boss of my business, no questions asked. Now, that does not mean that we get to beat our chest, that it's a pride or an ego deal. What that means is that you have to be there when everyone else is gone. So at the end of the day, you're the one that opens the doors to your business. You're the one that closes the doors to the business. The buck stops with you. You are the boss of your business, no questions asked. And that means that there are no excuses coming from you when it comes to why didn't something get done. Now, further along, we'll talk about production standards, production numbers, and I'm going to ask you guys at World Renowned, if we aren't hitting our production numbers, whose fault is it? We can have all of the systems in place, we can have all of the procedures, we can have tools, processes, but then right down here, know what you're supposed to do and commit to doing it, and then we're bouncing back to I am the boss, no questions asked. So when we're thinking about real estate as a business and not as a job, when we start thinking as entrepreneurs and not as employees, we'll not only see a transition in the way we think, but also in what we do. And finally, we did discuss mission statements and why they are so important to the business, to the agent, to the customer or client base, and to your future in the business. But I believe that we'll go into the mission statement further on in the next section when we talk about starting with the future in mind, and that's the second key trait that successful agents do differently, starting with the future in mind. We'll do that on the next video or in the next coaching call, whether we're in person on Zoom or here on YouTube, Facebook, anywhere you guys find me, maybe even LinkedIn. But until next time, that's going to do it for now. Don't be average. I love you. Oh, I apologize in case you hadn't heard it. I love you. I love you. I love you. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I would really love it even more if you guys would increase your production standards, increase your production numbers in general, because that means that you're actually getting something from what we're doing, and it's not a benefit to me if it doesn't benefit you. But I want to see each and every one of us have the best fourth quarter that we've ever had. So now that you know I love you, I can go ahead and say, don't be average, be world renowned. Peace.